Hi viewers, welcome to the channel Perfectly Imperfect by Swati Pala. This is video number 3 of the series Canada Diaries on this channel. This video, I will try to give you an understanding of comprehensive ranking system variables and a combination of these, how they contribute to the maximum of 1200. So let's go through this video number 3. As I said, maximum 1200 is what we are trying to look at. Core human capital factors 500 or 460. Without spouse, with spouse. If it is with spouse, the remaining 40 points will be based on your spouse education, language proficiency and work experience. Skill transferability factors maximum of 100, a combination of level of education, language proficiency and the work experience, both Canadian and foreign. And of course the additional factors which contribute a maximum of 600. If it is a provincial nomination, you have an employment offer, it will contribute maximum of 200. A Canadian educational credentials, 15 points. Sibling, again you will get a 15 points. You have French language in addition to English, 15 more points. So now how these factors actually work for contributing to your CRS score? Let's look at it. Now this is a typical graph of age versus points. Till 29 you will get a maximum of 100. Now if you look at 20 onwards, if you are being accompanied by your spouse, and if you are without spouse, you will be getting about 110 points if you are in this age. So anybody less than 18, obviously 0. 18 you will get 90/99. And it will slowly increase between 18 to 19, but from 20 onwards till 29 you will have same score, and then onwards it will start coming down. I think this will give a fair idea how the age column when you select in the CRS tool given by CIC works. Okay, now moving on from age to a level of education. Now this is one again a graph I have made for you to understand how points vary with the level of education. If you are anything less than 12th, 0, 12 you will get 28 rather, with and without spouse. If you are a 1-year diploma holder, you are a 2-year diploma holder, you are a graduation with greater than 3 years, you are graduation and have a 1 or a 2-year diploma, you have a master's degree and you have a PhD. Of course PhD being maximum, and without spouse, if a PhD holder moves, he will get 150 points for his level of education, and of course with spouse 140. The remaining 10 will be contributed by spouse level of education. Now whatever I have marked as the level of education, please bear it in mind that this has been assessed by an organization like WES, World Education Services. Now moving on from age, level of education, to language proficiency. In our case, that is the Indians, English language will be our first language and French will be obviously second language. Maybe some exceptions might have been there. When you write IELTS, you will be tested for speaking, writing, reading and listening from a maximum of 9 in each of these skills based on your performance. Now, as per your performance individually in each skill, you will be equated to a certain Canadian language benchmarking. Let's understand what is individual skill versus CLB. Okay, now this is how it is. If you can see, the CLB level is starting from 4 to a maximum of 10. Say for example, let's take a CLB level of 9. To achieve 9 in reading, you have to score 7 or 7.5. In writing, you have to score 7. In listening, you have to score 8. In speaking, you have to score just 7. Then you will get a CLB of 9. This is the table which will actually help you in targeting your scores in IELTS in each skill. So if you score less than 4 in CLB, that is Canadian language benchmarking, 0 points. 4 or 5 you get 6 points. Similarly, if you score greater than 10 of CLB, you will be getting a maximum of 32 or 34 based on spouse accompanying you or not accompanying you. Okay, now I think you guys have a fair idea of how the CLB is contributing to your score. Now for those exceptional people who know French also, just to make you understand, NDCLC is equivalent to what we are saying CLB in English. So again 4 or lower you will get 0, and if you get 9 or higher of proficiency level in French, you will get 5.5 points if you are with spouse, and without spouse you will get 6 points. So a maximum of 6 is what you are going to aim if you know French in addition to English. Okay, now moving on to work experience. Now how we identify our work experience, everything is being given in my video number 1. I again highlight, your work experience certificate should match with the knock code you are identifying yourself with. Say you are a mechanical engineer, identifying yourself as say knock code 2132, you should not get which is not matching with the explanation of 2132 of IRCC. So be very careful. Your experience certificate should be something which you need to really and closely work upon, maybe with your ex-employer or your present employer, and get it in a way you are required to. All the best. Okay, now moving on, Canadian work experience. It should be acquired in 1 or more occupations. Type of work experience, it has to be full-time. Also, you are given an option of having a part-time work experience, but it has to be equivalent to full-time. How? You have to clock 30 hours per week. The work experience which you are going to show, which is going to contribute to your CRS score, should be in the last 10 years. Now moving on to experience in years and the points you are going to get. I have just flashed a graph for all viewers to understand it very easily. It is, if you are 1 year experience in Canada, without spouse 40 points, with spouse 35 points. And similarly, anything more than 5 years of experience in last 10 years in Canada will contribute 70 points with spouse and 80 points without spouse. So this particular Canadian work experience will be required if you are applying for Canadian experience class. So the people, those who are going on study visa, who are obviously going to get Canadian education credentials once they finish their academics over there. Also, if they are able to manage some work experience, which obviously cannot be full because you will be working part-time while you are studying, but if you are able to equate it to a certain amount of full-time work experience, you will obviously gain some points. That is how the other route, which I have said in my video 1, study route, is open for immigrating to Canada as a PR. Now moving on from the core human capital factors to the second one, accompanying spouse. How she will contribute or he will contribute if he or she is accompanying you as a main PR applicant. Education, if you are less than 12, 0. But after that, the spouse is a PhD holder, 10 points. If masters, again 10 points. If graduation, 8 points. But if graduation and 1 or 2 diplomas, 9 points. So it is very clearly flashed on the slide. Again, under accompanying spouse, let's look at how spouse contribute with language proficiency. It's straightforward, a maximum of 20 points. Now moving on, the one more factor is her Canadian or his Canadian work experience. Now in this case, the work experience of your spouse, only if it is Canadian, will contribute. If it is not Canadian, it will not. Here you need to pause and actually check your CRS score with spouse and without spouse based on each factors of education and experience, because it does make a difference. Okay, now moving on to skill transferability factors, which is the third point of consideration for scores under CRS system. So there are 5 combinations. Let's look at. So a CLB level of English stroke French between 4 to 10, but you are not even at 12th standard, you don't get any points. If your English language performance increases, not only under the core human capital factors, point 1 which we have looked at, but under this skill transferability matrix also, your points contributed will be increased. So a same bachelor's degree or a master's and diploma, if your English performance is average, about 7, 25 again, but if it is 9, straight away you get 50 points. Please bear this in mind. Now moving on to the second combination of the skill transferability, that is level of education and Canadian work experience. Again, if you see, I have put level of education as less than 12, 12th plus 1 stroke 2-year diploma, and a diploma holder or a bachelor's degree is one combination, or a master's or a PhD. See now, if the Canadian work experience is there with you, if it is 1, straight away 13 points. If it is 2 years, 25. But if you are a graduate with 1 diploma and you have 1 year experience, 25. But if you have 2 years experience, it's 50. So skill transferability really makes a difference of almost 10 to 25 points easily based on your education and Canadian work experience. Now let's go to the third combination, that is foreign work experience. That in our case will be work experience in India stroke any other country other than Canada, and your CLB levels, that is your English language test results, when you are equating it to CLB, that is Canadian language benchmark. 7, 9 is basically 7 if you consider average, and you have 1 to 2 years experience, you get 13 points. If you have 1 to 2 years experience but your CLB level is 9, you get 25 points straight away. Even if your experience is 1 to 2, just because your English performance is above average, your points are 25. So if you really have 3 years experience or more than 3 years experience and you did well, get an above average proficiency test results, that is 9, you are going to get your maximum score of 50. Next combination under skill transferability, if you have foreign work experience and if you have Canadian work experience. So for example, people who are experienced here go for a higher education like masters in Canada, and also during which they did some part-time experience which is equivalent to some full-time work experience. That is how you get the combination of these two, foreign work experience, Canadian work experience. The last skill transferability combination is certificate of qualification and language proficiency. Now this is something which is basically trade oriented. You have done some qualification certificate like welding, underwater welding, or some specialized welding which you have done in Canada, and you got a certificate of qualification for that. And when you combine it with your English language performance, that is why if you see, you are a tradesman, so you are not expected to have a very above average English proficiency. That is why the definition is kept between 5 to 7 English level performance and 7, that is about average. So point to consider here is, you are a tradesman, IRCC is keeping it in mind, but you did it in Canada, and your English proficiency is about 7, you are getting points. Now let's move on to understanding additional factors. The CRS score depends upon various additional factors which I have already introduced you in the beginning of this video. The first one of them is provincial nomination. Either you have an express entry profile and hence you are nominated, or you don't have an express entry profile, you applied it to individual province, then got a nomination, then you can create again an express entry profile, give this reference, you will get the 600 points. The next additional factor we are talking is employment offer. So you have got an offer of employment. The first question you should answer yourself, is it qualified? Now for it to be qualified, first of all the employment should be in type 0 or skill level A/B, which will give you a maximum of 200 points. If it is an offer other than type 0 or skill level A/B, basically for trades, you will get 50 points. The offer, whatever it is, when you receive from a Canadian employer, has to be assessed by Canadian government. And yes, this employment offer should be at least of 1 year. If somebody is offering you, I will offer you a 6 months employment and you will get points, no, it is not so. It has to be a 1 year full-time employment with wages clearly indicated, and it is assessed by concerned Canadian government agencies and cleared. Okay, now let's move on to the next additional factor, which is basically education credentials. How many points you get? Canadian education 1 or 2 year diploma will give you 15, and a diploma or a bachelor's degree will give you points as flashed on the slide. Now moving on to the next additional factor, a sibling in Canada. Yes, you will get 15 points. And what does sibling means? Please check the information given on this slide. So it's very clear, you second cousin, niece, nephews and all such things might rather will not work. There is a clear definition of sibling. You can have a sibling or your accompanying spouse can have a sibling. In either case you will get 15 points. Moving on to the next additional factor, French language proficiency. As I said, we Indians especially, we can say English is our main language, whereas some people can have, in addition to English, French as a second language, and proficiency in second language will give you some points, as we have already discussed before also. So understanding CRS, this whole effort of making this video of understanding CRS is for you to appreciate that how the scores are mattering. So here I come to the end of video number 3 of the series Canada Diaries. For my next video, you please do press the bell icon so that you get notified. If this information I had given is useful to you, please do share with others, your friends, near and dear ones, and don't forget to give a thumbs up for this video. My next video, video number 4, will be on creating an express entry profile. I would be physically creating an express entry profile and will be recording it for you all. So whoever is ready with all the ingredients required for creating a profile, you please do have it. All the very best. See you in video number 4. Thank you.